Welcome to another episode of EnviroConnect Buzz. Here is where we discuss hot environmental topics. Your host today, Shana Rayburn, and with me I have project consultant Belize Carballo. Thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So today we would like our topic to be about policies and strategies. Basically, how you go about doing it and the importance of having one.
Mhm. Well, it's very important for many organizations, companies, or governments to really have a structured, organized plan in place in which that they can make informed decision making.
Right. And so most of the times persons out there think that, oh, we're working so much and using funds to create a strategy and then you leave it on the shelf.
Right. No, well, it should be a plan of action, no, something that involves all stakeholders that are benefited or impacted by this policy and really focus on how to get them engaged and make them part of the decision making process as well.
And I know what the action plan does, that it keeps you in line in what you need to accomplish.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you're having an associate's degree and you want to do your bachelor's, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to pay my school fees, I'm going to get my course program. These are steps to achieving that target of getting your bachelor's degree.
Right. So you have an overarching goal, but you need those steps in place to meet that goal. No?
Right. So that's what a policy and strategy does.
Absolutely.
And so today we'll be having Mr. Martin Alegria, the Chief Environmental Officer, that will be discussing the department's strategy and action plan. We have 12 thematic areas inside that strategy, right? And some being the degradation of terrestrial resources, degradation of marine resources, environmental governance and institutional strengthening, disaster risk reduction, and of course, we have to have one that improves waste management.
Yeah, and all of those are important in that to focus on those environmental issues that are pressing right now in Belize. And we want to make it clear that, these policies, sometimes they feel like it's just stored on a shelf and it's not really exercised, no? But that's why these kind of actions focus on key stakeholders and trying to get people engaged in these issues that are happening right now. It's ongoing.
Yes, and so here is where we could let persons be a part. And so when Mr. Alegria comes on, persons can know what the strategy is for the year and if we've accomplished those targets, if we've met those targets.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to be taking a short break, and when we come back, we'll have Mr. Martin Alegria, Chief Environmental Officer.
This year, 2017, will mark 25 years.
25 years since the government of Belize enacted the most progressive and comprehensive legislation to protect the Belize environment.
Our environment! What can you do?
Connect with nature.
Plant a seed. Plant many seeds. Pick up 10
or 100 pieces of garbage.
Hit the outdoors and jump in.
Celebrating 25 years of environmental sustainability.
Protecting,
educating,
and developing together.
Welcome back. We are here with Mr. Martin Alegria, Chief Environmental Officer of the Department of the Environment. Welcome, Mr. Martin.
Thank you very much.
So, earlier we were discussing about the importance of having policies and strategies for different departments and for different reasons.
Sure.
And of course, we know that the Department of the Environment has a national environmental policy and strategy. Could you tell us more about that?
Well, a policy and strategy statement and an action plan thereafter are key important documents that is a result of a lot of planning and consultation, where at the end of the day, these documents set up the way forward for an institution for a defined time. Usually it's between 5 years or 10 years that these documents are formed.
Okay, so I know we also have a 5-year action plan that goes along and relate to the National Environmental Strategy.
Sure, yeah. We have two documents, what we call the Policy and Strategy Statement, which is the umbrella, and the action plan thereafter that results from that strategy.
Okay, and how does that plan relate to the strategy?
The plan is basically looking at the actions, priority actions that the strategy has, and executes those that are of priority, that have been looked at as priority.
Okay, and what is the purpose of having this strategy and action plan?
The purpose of having a policy and strategy statement is to have an integrated consensus-wise by the sector, and also to clarify what the main issues are or the priority issues are. In this case, the environmental issues of concern that needs to be addressed, in this case by the government of Belize, because it's a national environmental policy and strategy for the government of Belize via the Department of the Environment. And basically, it sets up the action plan component, sets up how to do it.
Okay. And I know within the same action, this strategy, we've had 12 thematic areas that were chosen to be looked at throughout the strategy, and then we developed that in the action plan. These 12 thematic areas, how did we come about choosing those 12 thematic areas?
Well, like I said, the policy and strategy statement and the action plan that resulted from it is a highly or an in-depth consultative process which involves key stakeholders and all stakeholders. This process took, this strategy that we are talking about, the environmental strategy, started in late 2013 through 2014, where with the financing of the World Bank, using local and foreign experts from World Bank, we had almost a 1-year process where we had various consultations, targeted or national, where everybody is invited. And during those consultations, the major issues of concern, environmental, natural resource management issues of concern, came about from all these stakeholders. And that's how it was zoomed down, zeroed to 4 thematic areas. And from each of those thematic areas, some subcomponents, which are the actions that you're referring to, the 12 of them. So we had 4 major, and then we had the 12 that resulted from those.
Okay. And I know from the environmental strategy, it's called Belize Green, Clean, Resilient, and Strong.
Sure.
Right.
And those are the 4 cornerstones of the Sustainable Development Agenda that we used.
Okay. And so, how has this implementation been so far for the action plan that has been developed?
Yeah. Again, the policy and strategy is in these 12 thematic areas you're referring to. We have to clarify that it's a national environmental and natural resource management strategy, where approximately half of those actions are within the purview of the Department of the Environment, legal mandate as we call it. And about half of them are in the legal mandate of other institutions, other government agencies. So the implementation in terms of what we are responsible for, I would say we have, under our 5-year action plan, we have executed a lot of those actions within the past 5, 7, 6 years that we have been executing it. Not so much in the other components of the other institutions that are responsible legally for it. Some agencies have developed and executed some of it, a few of them, some none at all.
Okay,
so it's varied.
We are doing what we're supposed to be doing in our action plan.
Yeah, and again, after 6 years of executing it or so, it's about time to review it, a midterm review as we call it, so that we could see where we are. To answer your question, to see where we are and how to improve on it, on the weaknesses that we find from the review process.
And for our viewers that are watching our episode today, what would you say are the benefits of achieving these targets?
The benefits of the entire, of any policy or strategic statement and action plan, is basically to coordinate efforts in a sector or subsector, in this case the government, to coordinate better so that we all sing out of the same hymn book. And so at the end of the day, hopefully we are all in the same chapter, the same page, and execute together in accordance with that strategic plan. No? So it's coordination. It's to make life easier for implementing, so you don't duplicate efforts or you have some lagging behind and so on. So the benefit of such a document is for us to know what it is that we are priority out there, that the people and the others have said, how to go about doing it, and so we are all doing it together. So it's coordination in terms of planning and execution.
And I know a main benefit of achieving this target is that persons out there can definitely play a role and can be a part of what we're trying to accomplish in our action plan.
The general public, every citizen have the ability to be part of any environmental or natural resource management strategy or action plan by one becoming aware, becoming conscious of what it is that Belize is trying to achieve via these policy statements and strategy, and become aware of how they can get involved. Because the environmental natural resource management strategy that we are talking about is not only specific environmental issues, it has some social, some economic, so that at the end of the day, once you know what it entails, where we want to go, you as a citizen can get involved in your community and let your community benefit from these strategic plans, and perhaps even economic benefits that could arise from it comes to your community. So the more involved you are as a community leader and so on, be it a village, a town, or a city, the more benefits that community can get, no?
Yes, and I know you mentioned something that is highly important. We need others to get involved. It's not just us, the DOE, out there developing and reaching our targets. We're reaching it as a country.
Yeah, sometimes it's frustrating, where at times we look at it that only us are the ones executing what is within the mandate of the realm, of natural resource environment. And so it's kind of sometimes important for us to sit back, reflect, and then execute some type of emergency plan, quote unquote, so that we can do outreach to these key agencies, resensitize them, refocus them, because some of our departments have changed leaderships, as the years go by. So it's to reapproach them and look at the 10-year strategy we have, the 5-year action plan, and how to bring them back to help us in having a true sustainable development agenda in Belize.
Right. And I know the action plan is coming to an end. I guess it ended last year, 2020. So what would you say is the way forward from here?
Yeah, it's critical that in this case, any 10-year strategy, that after a 5-year execution, you have a midterm review, as we call it. So it's for us to better know through or from independent consultants to tell us where we did not achieve what we wanted, where we did, and most importantly, how to reorganize in order to have to achieve that 10-year strategy. And so that midterm review is critical. It's about time now for our strategy to be reassessed, reviewed, and perhaps that 5-year plan that you're mentioning, see what we did accomplish from it, what we didn't, and see what new emerging issues are out there, and try to formulate another 5-year action plan that is in coordination with that strategy and any emerging issues that are out there right now, such as climate change.
Yes. And as the world continues, everything changes. So we ourselves have to evolve as well with changes that come.
Sure. One of the issues that the environmental strategy does address, even though we are saying it's an environmental, is some social issues. Key in there is education, family. How do we go about improving our educational status? Again, that's not our mandate, but it is part of it. Because the more educated a society we have, the more they will be aware of and participate in any type of activity, especially those that, such as the ones we have in that strategy, that improves their standard of living and makes their lives easier than before.
And how can communities or audiences participate in implementation and monitoring of the strategy and action plan?
Part of it is, like I said, become aware of what the strategy is, what the action plans are, and at the same time call the Department of the Environment or other key agencies that of the issues that they're affecting them, to see how they can get involved fix the situation that they may have in their community.
Right.
And so that's the first thing that, or one of the ways they can
That
go
they
about
can
doing
do.
it here by getting involved, involved, and provide, go there and try to see who out there have the mechanisms, the actions already in their plans to help that situation at your.
As on our shows, we also have a giveaway for our audiences that have took the time out to watch our show. So basically, you will pick a color, and I will ask the question. The first person to answer the correct question under this episode gets to win the prize. So you could close your eyes and pick a color. There you go. Open your eyes. Okay, it's a black one. So it's a black question for today. It's a black one. What were the 4 pillars that were used to develop the policy and strategy? The question is, what were the 4 pillars that were used to develop the policy and strategy? So be the first one to answer the question and you get to win the giveaway today. So, as I was mentioning, for our audiences, how can you participate in implementation and monitoring of the strategy and action plan? Basically, for the implementation, you can find our strategy at the www.doe.gov.bz website and download it. In order for you to monitor us, you can follow us on our Facebook page, go to our YouTube channel, DOE-Belize, and you can also go back to our website and download our annual report. We produce an annual report, and you can go there and look at what we've accomplished throughout the year.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for being on our show, Mr. Allegri. I know you have a busy schedule, and so it was very important for persons to know what their strategy is, to know that we're not out there just doing different things, but we have a plan in place.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.